What?
podcast.
No, wrong one, wrong one.
Wrong podcast.
Wrong podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Rabble of Thrones. Today, we're talking about the hotly anticipated Bastard Bowl, otherwise known as Battle of the Bastards. Um, I've been dying for this episode all season because we kind of, knew it was
The ninth
coming.
episode of every season is
Every season, always
the episode.
the mic drop, right? So as far as episode 9s go, does this live up to the past ones?
I think in terms of intensity,
Right.
and battle scenes,
And badass shit that happened.
from cinematography perspective, as well, this the Battle of Blackwater.
The scene when Davos was like when he found Shireen's toy.
Oh yeah.
That shot of him like standing up, that was fantastic.
Oh, this was a beautiful episode.
Yeah.
But this reminded me a little bit of the Battle of Blackwater, and it was very, very similar.
Right.
The season 2, the 9th episode, the huge battle that the entire season led up to, and then a late army comes in.
It was the same.
Everything.
It was exactly the same, right?
So it was that same really cool, like it felt like we were watching a war movie.
Right. And a really good war movie. Like
yeah, and I want to say true to, because the piles of bodies and the scenes at the end where we got them screaming like, "Help me!"
Right. Okay, so let's get into it the way we always do.
Legs crawling away.
Right? Yeah. They always got to get that guy with no legs in there crawling around.
Who chops off legs?
Lots of
Whose
people.
move is that?
Well, there's always the up the leg move, right? We always see that one. So then you just go one step further and chop him right off.
But nothing else of him was hurt, seemingly.
Seemingly.
Just swiped his legs off, like, done.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
It was not pretty. Not pretty. Okay, so in the previously on, we see Davos giving Shireen the toy. Just to remind us. And
they foreshadowed this hard last episode with him, like, them camping where Stannis camped.
That's right.
Oh, this isn't gonna end well.
And it seems to me that all of their foreshadowing at this point is very like they're telegraphing it, right? Like it's
not foreshadowing.
Obvious.
This is what's gonna happen the next episode.
Yeah, it's like obvious foreshadowing, like way too obvious. So, and then in the other note I made from the pre thing, I guess it's not all Bastard Bowl. I had heard that it wasn't, but you never know with these episode 9s, right? So
yeah, I thought it was gonna be all Bastard Bowl. Yeah, and then when I saw Daenerys,
I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because the Daenerys stuff was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Weird but good. But anyways, so we knew we were gonna get Daenerys, and we knew we were gonna get the Greyjoys, which I thought was weird. Works out okay, but okay. So we start off in Meereen, and Tyrion and Daenerys are like, Tyrion's like trying to like explain himself, like, I know I fucked up, but
well, yeah, we had the joke I think last episode of like, I leave Meereen for one day and this is what
look
happened.
at this, you guys can't even take care of anything. So so then like the shit explodes, and she's like, like, shall we begin then? And he's like, oh, so you have a plan? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to crucify the masters. I'm going to burn the city. I'm going to kill every last man. And Tyrion's like, whoa. I don't know if you know about your dad.
Yeah, this is an interesting online discussion of, is Daenerys Rhaegar or is she the Mad King?
Right.
Because Rhaegar, is the ultimate ruler of super nice to everyone, religious, so he's all things to all people.
Right.
And so it was, which way is Daenerys going to go? Because her brother that was burned in season 1 was obviously crazy.
Right.
So is Daenerys going to be insane?
I think her actions speak louder than her words.
But her actions are burn everyone.
But no, she doesn't burn everyone. She burned one ship. right? So okay, so let's get into it. So they go and or no, so yeah, so she wants to burn everything down, and Tyrion's like, I got a different idea. So they meet with the masters.
She listens to him, but it's just that she had the idea of let's burn this mother to the ground.
Right, but at least she's willing to listen, maybe?
And also foreshadowing, hey, remember how there's wildfire on
That's right.
Like
that was the other thing. We really seem to talk about burning cities to the ground, guys.
Hey, everyone, in case you didn't remember, there's a huge cache of wildfire.
Right under the city. Yeah, it's all good. It's ready to blow. So... my other note is why aren't the dragons already flying around burning these ships? Like, why do they wait? Anyways,
why hadn't they escaped yet? But I guess she didn't tell them to, so they were good.
So they go to meet with the masters, and the masters are like, all right, so we're here to discuss surrender. You give up, you leave. Just leave. All you foreigners, get out of here.
This is so dumb.
And then we're going to kill the 2 dragons that are under the thing. And
we also get Grey Worm and Missandei.
And we're gonna sell them. Yeah, and we're gonna sell them. And she's like, "Oh, you misunderstood. You thought it was our no. It's your surrender that we're discussing." And they're like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And she's like, and then fucking Drogon comes flying in, and it's like, do these people forget about the dragons? Like, do they just? They've seen them. They've seen them. They know they exist. So. She flies off on the dragon, which, was an awesome scene. A little self-absorbed.
It was a little... CGI was a tad cheese, but whatever, it's television.
It was almost like too much fan servicey.
This is my side question with this storyline, and I meant to ask it last week, and maybe I didn't. It's also like, does Westeros not know she has dragons? I feel like
I don't think they do. I think they've heard rumors, and nobody would believe it. Why would you believe that? Why would there be dragons?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't know what's in there. Like, you're playing Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
But someone has literally a blowtorch to burn your cards.
Right.
So
we're gonna keep playing with the same cards.
Is totally meaningless because there's someone who just that's not fair.
Well,
I can't think of a schoolyard game where the kid comes in. It's like, oh, that's not fair. You have a blowtorch.
Yeah.
Come on.
So, all right. So the next scene is the Sons of Harpy just murdering hundreds of people, and then the Dothraki
from the I don't know if someone posted in our Slack chat things from the season preview we haven't seen yet.
Right. And but this was one of them.
This was the scene.
So, okay. So then the Dothraki come in and they murder all those fuckers. So here's my question to you. Does it, was the Sons of the Harpy just the biggest, lame fucking...
This was a huge letdown, especially unless, next season it becomes something completely different.
How can it? She'll be out of Meereen.
But last season, it was the whole who's leading the Sons of the Harpy.
Who's their leader? And
Dario, who's their leader, who's organizing. And this episode was no one.
Right. And because they said earlier in the thing that it was the Masters. And I'm Masters. That's a big letdown. And then, seriously, that's how we're going to leave it. That it's the Masters and that's it.
That's it.
And I mean, it never made sense for it to be Dario. I'm glad it's not Dario.
I just wanted it to be a person. And
something. Yes. Something... exciting, something
because Barristan died,
right,
and Grey Worm almost died,
right,
and it was no one,
and it's no one, it's nothing.
Who's betraying you, my queen?
Yeah,
it was one.
Yeah, it was no one's betraying you. It's just these master guys have some money.
Oh, it's the people you pissed off earlier.
Yeah. So she gets her So now all 3 dragons are flying around. And they decide this one ship, we're going to just burn the fuck out of these assholes. And they're all just... it was pretty awesome. Those dudes were on fire.
It's did they forget?
I don't know.
It's like you attacking the U.S. knowing they have nukes. They could just end it whenever they want.
And you attack them with bows and arrows.
Yeah, I don't care what we're going at them with, they can just nuke it and end us. You played Civilizations, I assume.
I did play Civilization, yes. And you have the horse dude running, and they've got tanks and jets.
Well, and when you got that, what were they called when you did the special projects? And you did the Manhattan Project, and you got a nuke.
Oh, yeah, it was the, I can't think of the name either.
What were they? Maybe you could build, like, the Colossus of Rhodes.
Right, like, they were the Wonders. The
Wonders of the World, yeah.
Yes.
That was it. That was so you could build a wonder. And one of them was the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
And you built the Manhattan Project, and then you got a nuke to use whenever you wanted. And
That's
it was
right.
like, bring it on, Mongolia.
Yeah, whatever you got, I got it beat.
Thank you, the nation of South Africa. I'm going to nuke you. Thank you for coming at me with your horses. Like, did they forget?
I guess so. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's such a weird... And people in Westeros then need to know she has dragons because all of this is meaningless because she wins.
Right. She wins
every time.
She automatically wins. Like there's no way she doesn't win this. She's got the superior everything. She's got a huge army, a huge loyal army, and 3 dragons.
Yeah, she can have no army at all. She has a dragon.
Yeah. So, okay.
The Daenerys scenes were cool.
Right.
But a bit of a letdown.
So what I did like was how this ended, so Grey Worm says to the dudes, hey, you guys can stay here and die for these guys who would never die for you, or you could fuck off and go home to your families. They all drop their swords and run.
Yeah.
And then, Tyrion's like, thanks for the armada. The queen does love her ships. So one of you 3 has to die because she's, forgiving. And so the 2 dudes say, oh no, this guy, he's kind of an outsider, so this guy's got to die.
They learned nothing
from they're so
television.
Dumb. They're so dumb. So that guy's like, oh man, and he gets down on his knees, he's like, please don't kill me, and Grey Worm comes over, grabs the knife, and then one swipe, the other 2 dudes.
You need to be the righteous one.
That's right.
Which one do we kill? You always say, kill me.
Kill me. I'm the one that should die. Yeah, every time. And it's like, it's like Seinfeld with the bike. When. Anyways, only the bike's true owner would rather someone else have it than. Oh man, I missed that show. Okay, so.
Almost 20 years it's been off the air.
It's crazy. I'm old. So then Tyrion tells the dude, okay, you go back and you remind them what happens when they talk about rising up against the queen.
Yeah, so we're going to keep you alive to go and tell your story.
Right. It's basically like the beginning of the 1989 Batman. And he's just like, I want you to tell all your friends about me. I'm Batman. No, he didn't growl. He was just Michael Keaton. He was cool.
He was cool. I didn't like the growling.
So, Bolton dudes riding across the thing, and I'm like, oh man, where are they going? And then there's Jon and Sansa, and I'm like, oh, it's Ramsay. Okay, cool. So
they're having a parlay.
Yes, I see.
A treat.
So Ramsay says to Sansa, my beloved wife, and he tells them, he's like, just return her to me, and I'll pardon you from leaving the Night's Watch, and I'll pardon all of you guys from rising up against the rightful Warden of the North.
I wrote, because I was really sad, but I wanted to admit it to the world. When he smiled, like when they came and met each other and Ramsay smiled, I smiled back at him.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It's like, yeah, you're handsome. But I just wanted to admit that I had a problem.
So, Ramsay, basically saying, you don't have enough men, you don't have enough horses, and he says he's a man of mercy. I don't remember why he said that. Oh, just like to let them go. Yeah,
like, you surrender now, everything will be fine.
Right. And so John's like, he's like, yeah, you're right. He's like, thousands of dudes don't have to die. He's like, we can settle this one-on-one. Mano y mano.
Just one guy has to die. Let's do this.
Just me, just you. Let's do it. Whoever dies, they lose. So
And my note was Welsh people can't say the letter R, which they can't.
Right.
With his weird little accent of like it's kind of a little bit of a W.
Right. So Ramsay says, well, I hear you're kind of a good swordsman, and if it's true or not, he's like, I don't know, maybe I don't beat you. He's like, but I know my army will defeat yours. So we're gonna just go with that. And then
he kept calling him bastard over and over again.
Yes.
And I guess it isn't show canon, but I thought I looked it up and I thought it was that Robb Stark decreed Jon to be a Stark.
No, that did not happen.
That's book canon. Before he goes to the twins,
okay,
to the Red Wedding, he sends a letter saying,
"Oh, by the way, you're not a bastard anymore.
You're not a bastard anymore."
Okay, yeah, that did not happen in the show.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
So, yeah, so he keeps calling him bastard, which is funny because it's like, hey, like 3 weeks ago you were a bastard. Maybe it was longer, but still. So, and then I like Jon says to him, will your men fight for you when they hear you wouldn't fight for them? Which I thought was interesting because we just heard that same line in the last scene.
Yeah.
So.
I also thought that it was a great line in this case.
Mm-hmm. And then he says, would you have your brother die for your arrogance? And he's like, how do we even know you have Rickon? And they throw Shaggy Dog's head on the ground.
Yeah, and I guess there was a lot of conspiracy about that too. Like it was too small.
It was whatever.
Just a trick, and then I was like, oh no, guess that's gross. Okay.
And then Sansa says to Ramsay, "You'll die tomorrow, Lord Bolton. Have a good sleep." Which Sansa is okay. Sansa's a badass in this episode. I don't care. All the shit, I love Joffrey, all that stuff is gone. I'm okay. Yeah, like I'm okay.
She died today. It was great.
Yeah. So so now we're doing the strategy stuff, and Tormund's like, they got all these dudes on horses, and when Stannis came in with his dudes on horses, he cut through us. What did he say? Like piss through snow, something like that. And Jon's like, yeah, don't worry, we're gonna dig trenches on the sides. They won't be able to do the pincer move. And Tormund looks at him like, he's like, they won't be able to come at us from the sides. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. So, I thought that was funny. And did you really think that cunt would fight you man to man? And then he just said he wanted to make him mad so he'd come at us with everything he's got.
Yeah.
And then so Davos and Tormund leave. And so it's just Sansa and Robb. Fuck. Sansa and Jon. Wow. So Sansa's like, hey, I kind of know Ramsay. I've kind of been through some shit.
He's taken me.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you ask me for advice? And he's like, well, you could have fucking said something.
Yeah, I this scene was cool because I like Sansa standing up.
Right.
But she didn't really... Then, even when she was like, you didn't ask me for my insight.
Yeah.
She didn't really give any insight.
Well, no, she said, do... Oh, hold on, I wrote it down. Yeah, she says, don't do what he thinks you're going to do. So, and the other thing out of this is Sansa is like, we're never getting Rickon back.
Yeah, and that was really interesting that I never thought about.
I'd thought about that for sure as well. Like that he's the eldest legitimate Stark, like Winterfell's his, so it makes sense that Ramsay would want him dead. So that way there's no claim from the Starks, right? No real claim. Because a woman can't claim Winterfell.
Women, we can't even drive.
Exactly. Two jobs, making sandwiches and having babies. That's
Woo.
It. Yeah.
And lying on her back.
That's right.
I thought it was I guess two things. I thought it was a case of he's the most important thing you have.
Right.
So why would you kill him? It was the same with Edmure in the episode before.
Right.
you're not going to kill him because then you have zero.
Then you
leverage.
have no leverage, exactly. And see, and Rickon isn't leverage because they want Winterfell.
Yeah,
Rickon's not the
other
leverage.
thing I read
Winterfell
was
is.
and it kind of calmed me down a little bit. Was like we already know how evil Ramsay is,
right?
So killing Rickon wouldn't push that story anymore,
right? Exactly. And Rickon does nothing for the story. Does nothing for the. He actually complicates things. Him dying is actually better for the story than him being alive.
Yeah. Well, Rickon later, and then what happens later in the battle.
Okay, let's
crazy book thing.
All right, let's get there. Let's get there. So,
well, we see Davos, and yours and my probably favorite scene from the episode.
Yes,
when Davos is walking around.
Davos with Tormund.
But then when he leaves and he finds a toy.
Right. Okay, so Davos and Tormund have an awesome conversation, though. Mm-hmm. And Tormund's like, hey, you know, I need to have a drink the night before a battle so that way I can sleep. And he's like, come on, I got this goat's milk. It's gone bad, but it'll get you fucked up better than this grape water you guys drink. Which I thought was just a fantastic line. I love it.
Yeah.
So then Davos is like, oh, I need to walk. Because, you know, I'm going to, like, shit myself, basically. I need to walk far enough away that people won't hear me. So he does his walk. And he finds the toy.
Cleveland just won. We'll talk about this tomorrow.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay. Congrats to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's amazing. The
city of Cleveland needed this. They
really did. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's wow.
LeBron.
That's
again.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's
okay.
Tomorrow.
That is tomorrow. Join us on Scotch Sporting tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. If you like sports, even if you don't like sports.
Nerds can like sports.
Nerds love sports.
We are living proof.
And the other thing Davos and Tormund talked about was following the wrong kings.
Yeah, I like that.
So, you know, he's like, oh, I followed, you know, Mance, and I thought he was the guy, and then, nope, and you followed Stannis, and thought he was the guy, nope. Like, and I like that he didn't get the demons in the head reference. He's like, did you see the demons? And he's like, no, not real demons, like, you know, thoughts in his brain.
Yeah,
Poor
I
Tormund.
Like that, you know, Davos kind of philosophically followed the wrong guy.
Right.
Stannis didn't really, but then Tormund just literally followed the wrong guy. Like, he literally lost.
Right.
So is it just, like, he followed the right person, he just lost.
Exactly.
Whereas Davos followed Stannis, who turned out to be
the wrong guy.
The wrong guy.
So yeah, so now he's far away, and he finds basically the spot where they burned Shireen. And in the rubble, he finds, like, what a lucky find. He finds the stag that he had carved for her.
Yeah.
And not much came of it, but you know something's going to.
Yeah, and then a beautiful shot.
And a beautiful shot of him standing with the background kind of like a fire in the background, so the sky's kind of bluey, red, purpley. It was a gorgeous shot, probably the best shot of the whole episode. This episode was shot amazingly.
Beautifully.
Yeah, this was easily the best looking episode we've seen. Easily, hands down.
Oh, remind me then, finding the stag prognostication question, because we should ask what we think that's going to come to.
All right, I like it. So Jon goes to see Melisandre, and he's like, "Oh, you weren't at the war meeting," and she's like, "Whatever." And
didn't we have the discussion of, like, where even is she?
Right. And so she's
and
there.
It's like, oh, I guess she was with them the whole time.
She was with them the whole time. So he's like, "Oh, any advice?" And she's like, "Yeah, don't lose." Thanks.
Thank you.
And then so he's like, "Hey, if I die, don't bring me back." And she's like, "It's not up to me." She's like, "If the Lord of Light brings you back, he brings you back. It's not." She's like, "I don't have the power to do anything." She's like, if he wants me to bring you back, you're coming back. And So he's like, why would he bring me back? I don't know. And she's like, maybe to die again. So, and then he's like, what kind of god would do that? And she's like, the one we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one we have.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that was before Davos finding the toy, but that's okay. So Davos finds the toy. Boom, back to Meereen, and Tyrion is now in the throne room in the pyramid, and he's like, "Last time I saw you was at Winterfell," and I'm like, "Who the fuck is he talking to?" And then I'm like,
"Who could possibly be here?"
And then I'm like, "Oh, right, that's dumb." And then so it flips to Theon, and Theon's like, "Oh, that was a long time ago," and Tyrion's like, "Well, how have things been going for you?" And he's like, not good, I hear. Kill those Stark boys. He's like, "I didn't kill the Stark boys." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever." And so Theon's kind of like, he's being Theon, but it seems like he's back to being Theon and not Reek, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
he still thinks he needs to be punished.
Right.
I think. And I think this is going to turn into some sort of sacrifice. Like he's gonna
die for Yara or something.
He's gonna die for someone.
Right.
But yeah, he's definitely back to Theon Greyjoy.
So we found out that they took 100 ships. So they have 100 ships plus whatever the Masters had, and that'll be apparently enough to get them to Westeros. So and Daenerys says to Theon, why should I back your claim for the Iron Islands? And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm not going to be not me. It's her." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then so she's like, "Well, you stole 100 ships," because then they talk about the uncle who wants to kill them, and she's like, "Okay, so you stole 100 ships, and wasn't the Iron Fleet much bigger than that?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, our uncle's still got some of the ships, and he's building more, and he's planning to come over here and talk to you." And she's like, "Well, why would I go with you instead of them?" And they're like, "Well, he wants to give you his big cock." I just love it.
He would like to have sex with you.
Yeah, and Daenerys is like, so he would force me to marry him, and you guys aren't going to force me to marry you. And Yara's like, "Well, I wouldn't force you, but I'm open to the idea." And so I just like the idea of Yara and Daenerys getting together. I think that would be cool.
I think every guy got a little bit of a like.
Yeah, there was a little.
Just a little chub.
It moved, Jerry. Two Seinfeld references. So, so they basically make a deal, and Daenerys says to them, "No raiding, no raping."
Yeah.
And you will be cool. And Yara's like, "Well, that's kind of like
that's what we do.
We take what's we pay the iron price." Oh, and I like that they acknowledge that both their fathers are douchebags.
Yeah, I like they had a lot of a couple winky moments.
Very
girl power.
A lot in common. So, and remind me about girl power, because Lindsay has a theory about girl power.
Ooh.
So then it's like, "Oh, we have an accord," and they do the weird forearm handshake.
I thought they were gonna shake hands, and that really threw me.
Yeah, and they grab forearms, and I'm just like, can't we just shake hands?
No, I don't think that's been invented yet.
That's not. Okay. Just forearms, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a prognostication question as well about this. So
write down that and write down Shireen and Stag.
Shireen and Stag.
Yeah.
And then mine's already written down. Okay. So, now let's get back to it. Ready for fucking battle. The armies are on opposite sides, and it's like, I don't have a lot of notes for this battle because it was pretty there was just stuff happening, and I wanted to make sure that I was actually watching it.
Yeah.
Right?
It was intense, it was beautiful, and there wasn't a lot. It's not like there was conspiracy things you had to pay attention to.
Right.
It was
So we see the flayed dudes burning, and we see, like, Ramsay's army clearly larger than John's army, and I'm just like, it doesn't look good. And so
No.
Ramsay comes trotting in on his horse, and he's got a rope, and I'm like, oh, he's dragging something. I'm like, this isn't good.
Oh, I thought it was Rick.
I thought it was Rickon's dead body, right? I thought he was already dead. So no, it's Rickon, and he's alive, and he gets off the horse, and I find it weird that Rickon's the same height as Ramsay.
I also found that weird. I thought he was like the only character that grew or changed.
Right.
Him and Bran, and I guess that's what you get from casting kids.
That's right. So Ramsay pulls out this knife, and he holds it way up high, and I'm like, oh man, he's gonna just gonna kill him right here. And then he cuts his hands free. And so to me, it's like, why don't you just kill him? Why do you do it this way and toy with him? Like, I mean, I get it, because Ramsay's a dick, and that's kind of his thing. But
I don't know if John would have charged the same.
You do,
maybe.
Right.
So he sends Rickon out.
He's like, hey, do you like games? The game is just run to your brother. And he starts running. Well, he starts walking at first. He's like, no, you gotta run. So he starts running.
Now,
yeah.
Obviously, when the first arrow whizzes past you,
yeah.
Why you don't start running in a zigzag pattern, I don't know.
Yeah, like, just change it up, right?
Stop running in a straight line.
Yeah, because...
You run zigzag, dive, barrel roll.
Yeah, anything. So John sees this and takes off on his horse and starts getting there. He shoots, 3 or 4 arrows and misses.
Yeah.
All on purpose,
John
by the looks of things. Yeah, and John just gets to him, and the arrow right through the chest. Blah. And then it's like, okay, like, fuck. So
I was just, again, and it makes it a little bit more.
Did you say you said Rickon, didn't you? That was your guess. Yeah.
Did I? Oh, I think I might have said Tormund, but I might have said Rickon.
I forgot to listen before, so I'm like so unprepared. I'll get this sorted for next week.
This and later things ruin a huge book thing called The Grand Northern Conspiracy.
Okay.
Which is the Manderleys and the Umbers and basically all of the houses that have aligned with the Boltons and or not aligned with the Starks.
Right.
Are secretly working against
Ramsay. Right.
And
I thought that there was gonna be a moment. Well, hold on, we'll get to it. Okay, so
this Rickon dying was a little bit like, oh.
Yeah. And
just killing Rickon was so. I don't want to say pointless, but I guess it had to happen.
It had to. He is so unnecessary to the story.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter, and
there's another side thing that because a Shaggy Dog story.
Yeah.
And that was the joke of his dog was named Shaggy Dog because Rickon's story
never doesn't
go anywhere.
Right. It
doesn't go anywhere, and then it just ends,
right.
And that's a Shaggy Dog story.
And
so that was the joke of why his dog was named Shaggy Dog, apparently.
And there you go. And I don't think that's an accident.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so John now pissed off, super pissed off, starts charging in. And the arrows go and fuck up his horse. And he doesn't care. This shot of him getting up off the horse and
that was a beautiful shot.
The whole thing of him running and dodging the arrows and then the cavalry starts coming in and I'm like, oh my god, how the hell is he gonna get out of this?
I was just they're gonna kill him.
Right.
They're going to kill him.
And then
Jon Snow dies in this episode.
Right, and then I'm like, would they kill him again? Would they do that?
Would they bring him back just to kill him?
I mean, that would be a mic drop, I think. Because how else are you taking back Winterfell without him? Because they could still have killed him here and still take him back Winterfell.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he goes running in, the cavalry's coming at him, and then boom, his dudes come up from behind and boom. And this fight, so he's dodging swords, dodging horses. hitting dudes, stabbing them. This scene was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Cinematography.
Everything was
beautiful.
Awesome. So good. It's actually sad because I look at some of the stuff earlier, like, because we've just rewatched seasons 1, 2, and 3, right? So they're still fresh. And you look at some of the stuff that happened in those early seasons, and like some of the fight stuff, and it's really cheesy, like really cheaply done. And this is not. And that stuff had better, like, story behind it. This is like, because this is all like kind of a letdown and obvious, and we know how all of this is going to play out as it's happening.
This wasn't a story. That was just a battle scene.
Right, but if this battle scene had have been the Battle of Blackwater Bay, if the Battle of Blackwater Bay had this kind of production value, it would have been better. Because and I mean, just like Blackwater Bay. Okay, so they're fighting and they're getting the shit kicked out of them, like just getting destroyed. Lots of bodies piling up, which I thought was
like disgusting.
Huge pile of dead bodies and not dead bodies. Just dudes who can't get up.
And the guy with the legs crawling that we talked about at the beginning.
Disgusting. But you don't think of this stuff. This is a thing that would happen.
Yeah.
So as the fight gets worse and worse, and Davos charges in with all the dudes on foot and 1-1, and they're in there, and then boom, they get surrounded.
So I initially, will admit, was like, kind of like, yes, because I thought, this is what I was talking about earlier, this was the Grand Northern Conspiracy. And I was like, okay, they killed Rickon, they didn't anticipate that happening. I thought they were going to surround, and this is what I thought it was at first, they surrounded Jon Snow's army and then turned to protect them.
Right. That would have been...
That's what I thought happened, that's what I was hoping happened.
Would have been better than how this played out. So this plays out, they're surrounded and still fighting, and Jon somehow gets... Okay, so the Umber dude, what's his first name?
He's the Little Jon.
Little Jon Umber, that's right.
Jon Umber, yeah.
Right, so he comes out, and him and Jon are face to face, like they're about to fight, and then Umber, like, looks at him and, like, takes a step back, like he doesn't want to fight Jon. And I'm like, oh, maybe there is something to, like, a turn here. Jon gets knocked over, and then he's trampled for the next, like, half an hour, it felt like. And I don't do good.
This was cool of him.
It's very cool, but I don't do good.
Shot again.
I don't do good with, like, claustrophobia stuff.
Oh,
like, so in a movie, if someone's, like, drowning in a movie, I really, like, I get, like, fidgety because I can't deal with it. Yeah. So as this is happening, I'm like, okay, can he just get up, please? Because, like,
before this, like, this whole time, like I said, this ruins a huge conspiracy that and book thing that people thought for the entire fifth book of, okay, the North is secretly working to take it back for the Starks.
But they still can be.
Not.
But they still can be. In the books. They still can be in the books.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? Like, don't forget, this is all, like, separate now. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be similarities, but there's going to be a lot of differences, too.
Like you said, it's cheesy, though, because the North just turned on each other and fought each other, and what was this?
And now how do they reconcile all of this now that the Starks have taken over Winter? Okay, so anyways, let's get back to... So,
cool battle.
It looks really dire. Jon finally gets himself back up. At this point, Tormund and Umber are face to face. And Tormund had just been stabbed by one of the spear dudes as well. So he's already
when he got slashed and backed away, I was like, no.
And that's what I thought. So I'm like, okay, so he's already hurt, and he's face to face with Little Jon Umber, and you know, that guy's on record like, I fucking hate wildlings. So I'm like, this is not going to be good. So they start fighting, and I'm like, oh god, Tay's like losing it right now.
Dying. Home alone on my couch.
Yeah.
Dying.
And then when Tormund goes in and bites him and the blood shoots out, did you like jump up and
Yeah, well, because I thought he got stabbed.
Okay.
You know, they do
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah.
It's a common movie trope where two people squish together and you hear, and
Yeah.
you don't know which one of them.
Someone's dead! Ah!
Someone's dead.
Right.
But then when it was Tormund, I was like, maybe he's getting out of this.
Yeah. And then he bites his neck and the blood just fucking shoots into the sky. So Umber's a bad dude. No chance of turning, which again... and so then we hear a horn in the distance, and John
honk a horn.
John looks over, and here comes all these fucking horse dudes, and it's the Knights of the Vale, and we see Sansa and Littlefinger like sitting on the hill on their horses, like all smug, and Littlefinger like super smug.
Yeah, he looks happy.
Yeah. So and Ramsay
just adding to the what the hell is his end game?
Well, did you see the next time on?
No.
Okay, well, his end game is very clear.
Really?
Well, not really clear, but it's clear. Oh, we'll get to it. So, okay.
Let's get to the end because I want you to tell me about it before I watch it.
Okay, so
Don't worry.
So Ramsay's face is just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he's so confused. So the horse dudes just go around and kill like all those dudes with the shields that were surrounding them. I liked the move, by the way, though, with the shields and the dudes behind with the spear, and you just move in and just stab.
It's a common, almost the opposite thing. Here's military history. Let me push up my glasses for you. Before, when they used to just march at each other in lines, one of the common things they did was it was a square formation where you put your most important person or people, like the general, in the middle.
Yeah.
And you just did square, 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 square around facing out.
Right.
And you'd march forward.
And this, you just flip it inside.
I thought it was a brilliant.
It was great.
Move.
It was great. And it should have worked.
It would have worked if the Knights of the Vale
didn't. The Knights of the Vale didn't show up. So, okay. So Ramsay looks so confused. Okay. So and then he starts running back to Winterfell. And John like gets free, and him and Tormund and one like look at each other and they're like, "Let's fucking do this!" And they go charging after him, right? And so Ramsay gets inside the doors, and he's like, "Hey man, they don't have enough dudes to siege this place. We're just gonna stay in here and wait. We just wait." And then, boom! Fucking door gets hit, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's just gonna bust down the door, guys." Like,
yeah, haven't you learned anything?
So one's like pulling holes in the wall, and then he gets his hand on the what do you call it, like the doorstop thing, and arrow, like, and it wasn't an arrow, that was like a huge fucking spear right in the middle of his hand, and he just lifts his hand and it rips, and he's just covered in arrows. So he busts through the door, and he keeps getting hit, and
I wondered how many hits it was to take down a giant.
Did you count the arrows?
You learned that? No.
A fuck ton. That's how many. So, okay, so all the Stark dudes, the dudes loyal to the Starks, come in and basically mop up the place.
Arrows
everywhere.
The scene of John looking at one
right, and he's like down, and he's like gonna fall, and I'm like, oh man, in that scene, and I'm not lying, I was more sad that he died than I was that Rickon died.
Yeah.
So just as he's like, it looks like he's about to say something to John, and he gets an arrow right in the fucking eye from Ramsay. Cocksucker. So Ramsay's an idiot, though. This is a very stupid play on his part, because so he's got the bow and arrow, and he's surrounded, and he shoots an arrow at John. John's picks up a shield and blocks it. He shoots another one as John's moving towards him. He blocks that one. By the time he shoots the third one, John is like right on top of him. It's like maybe after the second one, get a sword.
Yeah, try a different tactic.
So John gets on top of him, and my note here is kick his ducking ass. Thank you, spell or autocorrect, because it was not supposed to be ducking. and John just fucking hammering him, just pop, 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 and fucking blood. I was so happy for this.
I thought he was dead.
And then Sansa comes rolling in, and she's like, you know, she looks at John, and John kind of stops. And you're right, it did look like he was dead. Did he say something to Sansa?
No,
I thought he said
don't
something
think
when
he
he
said
was.
anything.
No, okay.
I thought he was dead, and my note for this was like, oh.
So then they show a shot of the Bolton banners being thrown on the ground, and then the shot of the Stark banner coming down. I'm not lying. I had tears in my eyes. I'm really not lying. Cool. I for real had tears in my eyes. I'm so happy that Winterfell is back to like
nothing good in this show.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
And
but this is what's worrying me about this show, is that it's becoming, because this is not what it's supposed to be. There's not supposed to be happy endings and they get Winterfell back, but this is what's happening.
Well, yeah, when Jon was fighting in the earlier battle scene, I was like, okay, this is true to what this terrible show is. Like, they're gonna kill Jon, they're gonna kill Tormund, like the Starks are gonna lose.
Right. Meanwhile,
and then they took Winterfell over, and it was like,
yeah,
okay.
So, so now it's a little bit later. Oh, right. So it's after, and they're kind of cleaning up, and they got Rickon's body, and John's like, oh, bury him in the crypts beside my dad, and so they're totally gonna do that, and
there's clearly a murder just down the street from me.
Clearly, Jon Snow just got killed down the street from
Actually, there was a murder just down the street from me a couple of days. I don't know if you heard about the, broad daylight assassination.
No.
A guy was sitting in his white Cadillac Escalade.
Yeah.
He was a guy that got kicked out of the Raptors game, had courtside seats, and was kicked out for heckling the referee.
Yeah.
Apparently a crazy known coke dealer.
Okay.
Like, known by Interpol.
Right.
And there's a gang war in Toronto supposedly now.
Beautiful.
And this guy was sitting in his Cadillac Escalade, and two guys in construction gear walked up on either side, shot him, walked away.
Beautiful. Oh, yeah, man.
Just like 1 block away from me.
Toronto is exciting. Well, you know what, though? You're not a coke dealer, so you really have nothing to worry about.
I know. Well, that's the thing in Toronto is, like, there is a lot of crime, and there's been, I don't know, 50-something murders already this year, but it's nothing. It's not random.
Yeah, exactly. It's all gang.
It's all
gang related.
And if you stay out of it, you're usually
fine. You're fine. You might get a stray bullet, but that's okay.
You might. That happened once, like 15 years ago.
Right. So Sansa asks Jon, "Hey, where's Ramsay?" And we get to see him tied up in what you would assume were like dungeons. And she goes down, and she's standing there, and
I assumed she put him there. It was where's Ramsay, and then she made him go there.
Okay, I like that.
I thought she put him there.
All right.
I don't think she just found him there and released the hound.
It's a good point.
I think she was like, "Where's Ramsay? Okay, he's mine now.
So
like, you don't get to kill him. He's mine."
Right. So he says, "Is this where I'll be staying now?" And he's like, "I guess I probably won't be staying here long." And he's like, "But," he says to her something along the lines, I didn't write it down exactly, but he says, "I'll always be a part of you."
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he says.
Okay. So they're really playing up this pregnancy thing without telling us that she's pregnant. So if she's pregnant, who are they going to say is the father? Because they can't say it's him.
Littlefinger?
Are they going to say it's Littlefinger?
I think yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's pregnant. Is that?
I think that's the only thing that makes sense.
What are the other signs that she's pregnant? Just that?
She had said in a previous episode that she still feels what he did to her, and I mean, I get that. I get the rapiness part of it, but I think that was more something else.
Right.
That was more. Yeah. But no, I think it'll make for a better story. If she's pregnant now, if they fucking write it out the way they write out everything else right now, like they introduce something interesting, and then they're like, yeah, like these Sons of the Harpy, man, I wonder who the leader is. Oh, it's nobody.
Yeah,
You
just
know,
kidding,
like
it
it's
was no
just
one.
yeah,
Yeah, what did he mean by I'll always be a part of you? Just kidding, nothing.
just kidding, nothing at all. So she tells him, you know, you're gonna disappear. You're nobody. Like nobody will remember your house. Everything's gone. And then we kind of like the camera kind of pans over and there's the dogs, and he's like, my dogs will never eat me. And she's like,
Yeah, they'll never hurt me.
you said earlier, and we forgot to mention it, but he did say earlier in the episode that he'd starved them for 7 days. So they're hungry.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, they're loyal. They're not gonna. She's like, okay, we'll see. And so
Alright.
the one like licks his face, and he's like telling it to sit, and it's it's not sitting. And then
No.
the fucking bite on the like that was great.
And he looked scared.
Yeah. And is this what we call justice? This is justice, right? This is.
I wanted a little something more, I guess. I wanted torture, but
yeah.
this was pretty good. This was pretty good because he looked scared.
Right.
It's like the witch woman from the season 1 when Daenerys burns her, who said she won't scream,
She
and
won't
then she
scream,
starts
and
screaming.
then she starts screaming, and that's a fucking powerful scene because she's like, you won't make me scream. I won't scream, and then she does scream. That's fucking that. Yes.
This was a little bit like Ramsay's. You know, everyone's has their limit, and
Yeah.
it's like he looked scared, and then when the dog started, he started screaming.
And then Sansa walks away and smirks. What a smirk.
So, I guess my note was she's turned, and maybe that's what he meant was a little bit of me.
Maybe. Okay, so if we get away from the pregnancy thing, maybe that's maybe.
Not like turned, but like.
But he knows that he's changed her. Because he definitely did. More than anything else that's happened to her, he's the one who changed her.
Yeah, she tortured him.
Right.
She tortured him. She got the dogs to attack him, and she's happy about it. And she watched it, and she didn't turn away.
Right.
And then when she finally walked away, she smiled.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, they did the next time on.
Okay, tell me about that.
So they show Littlefinger talking to Sansa. This is the only thing that really stuck out. And it was, she's like, well, what do you want? And he's like, I thought I told you what I want. So, he wants her.
Yeah?
Yeah. Which is weird and gross, and because he's like old enough to be her grandfather almost.
He wants her, or he wants
Her.
just a Stark?
I don't think it's just a Stark. I think he wants her.
So his end game is...
Well, I don't know if that's his end game, but that's his game right now.
Right.
And, okay, so there really wasn't anything else that stuck out. I'm trying to think. I know Daenerys and Tyrion were talking about something, but it wasn't. It was dumb. And, they showed Bran, but it was just like a passing, like, shot. But they gotta wrap a lot of stuff up.
Yeah, you gotta do Tower of Joy
Oh,
next
shit.
episode.
That's right. And because they showed, some King's Landing stuff. But they didn't, again, nothing. I guess the trial's obviously going to be next week, so.
Well, I would bet we don't see Daenerys next episode.
No, we do. They showed her.
Oh,
in the thing.
do we?
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to end on her again, as usual. So the girl power thing I was referring to earlier. So you're going to have Daenerys come over, and she's talking like grand scheme, end game. This is how the show ends, right? So you have Daenerys, Queen of Westeros. And then you'll have Sansa, Queen in the North. And you'll have Yara, Queen of the Iron Islands. Right? And maybe you'll have Marjorie, Queen in wherever.
Yeah.
Right? Because this leads perfectly. Oh my god, we're figuring it out as we go here. So my prognostication question is, because I believed that Varys, when he left on his secret mission, was going to get help from the Greyjoys. It made sense. They're there. It would be a short trip. I didn't think. Obviously, Varys is going back to Westeros.
Yeah.
Who's he going to get help from? Because I think, actually, you answer and then I'll answer. Who do you think he would go to get help from?
I think King's Landing, and from the Tyrells.
Okay, because that's exactly it. So he goes and he'll go and get help from Lady Olenna.
Yeah.
And so then we'll have Marjorie as one of the queens. And then the whole fucking Westeros is ruled by women at the end.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like it. No, I think he's going back to get help from anyone that doesn't like the Lannisters now,
which is everyone.
It's
Everyone. And wait, and who's in charge in Dorne? Isn't it? It's what's her name?
It's the women.
That's right. See, this whole show is like girl power.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, Shireen and Stag prognostication.
Yeah, what is that going to turn into anything?
Oh God, yes, because they did. They had a shot of Davos at the end of the episode looking at Melisandre and holding the stag, right? So
I was gonna say, like,
he's gonna bring it up, and he did
call her out.
They did show him in the preview for next week, talking to Jon about it or yelling at Jon about it, like ask her what happened. So that'll come up.
Yeah, because Jon clearly kind of believes in her,
right? But Jon's not going to let Davos kill her.
Yeah, you know?
No. And I really thought Davos was going to die. So now Davos is sticking. Like, I don't think anybody in the North is going to die for the rest of this season.
No. So I heard there's 3 major deaths.
Right.
In this season, and we've had 2, right?
Who's the major ones?
Like major character.
Okay, and who?
In the last 2 episodes, I heard 3 major characters, or 3. There's going to be 3 big deaths. I think Rickon, Ramsay.
Okay.
And then I think we're still waiting on the 3rd.
Tommen.
Yeah, that's it. It's Tommen.
It has to be Tommen.
Has to be Tommen.
It's Tommen, and the Mountain's doing it, and Cersei's going to burn the city down right afterwards.
Yeah, because we still haven't seen those scenes, right?
Right.
That were in the preview.
Which scene? Sorry.
Season. I think isn't there someone talking like they do a wildfire flashback?
Oh, I don't know.
I gotta look at that then.
I don't know. So, this episode was great, but a letdown at the same time.
Yeah, it's better. It's the same as it always been. It's better talking about it.
Right. But
I feel better about it.
But the problem is that everything is so the obvious answers right now.
Yeah.
And what I'm missing from the show that we always got were curveballs.
Yeah, it's what we talked about it last episode with the Arya thing.
With Arya, exactly.
We were all hoping it was going to be some crazy conspiracy, and then I think I posted in our thread a couple days ago that the director of that episode, who I don't know if he did the one before, but he did that one, said no, guess she was just being stupid.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, to me, this is what I was worried about last year. Because, I don't know, I about halfway through last season, I got really, fed up with it. And I know I was like, this season sucks. And it was even Hard Home, I was like, even the zombie kids. Right, zombie kids.
Yeah.
So, for me, it wasn't a bad season. It just wasn't that great. This season started out great. It was all fan service, right? Great fan service stuff. And then now we get to where they're answering questions. And the answers are bad.
The answers are obvious.
And obvious and bad. And it's just like, can we get to the point where you're shocking me again, where you're surprising me? Because Ned Stark's head getting cut off surprised me.
Red wedding, purple wedding.
Red wedding, purple wedding, all of these things were big surprises.
Jon Snow dying.
Jon Snow dying was a huge surprise, even though right after it happened, I was just like, well, there's no way this is going to stay. Like, they got to bring him back. But it happening was a surprise. And even me figuring out the way that you're going to write yourself out of it is fine. But you got to surprise me. And you're not, and they're just not surprising us anymore.
Well, I want conspiracies to talk about.
Right, and
I want to prognosticate.
Right,
and this season hasn't had many prognostications.
No, because it's been so straightforward.
Yeah, it's been very obvious. And
like I said to you, where's Varys gonna go? And you said the Tyrells,
exactly.
And that's exactly what I said, the Tyrells, because it's the only place that makes sense for him to go that has power.
Obvious. The kings, the sons of the Harpies being no one was obvious. The way Ramsay died was obvious.
Obvious. Everything.
Rickon just dying for no reason, and I guess the Umbers and the Karstarks were on the Bolton side the whole time. Right. It's just lots of like.
There was not, and had the Karstarks and the Umbers flipped, had that been then I would have been whoa,
incredible,
amazing, right? Like, yeah, and they're like, we were with you all along, we just couldn't, we got to play the game, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry. One more thing they showed it just popped into my head. One more thing they showed in next week.
Yeah.
Walder Frey and Jaime Lannister. And Walder Frey says the Freys and the Lannisters send their regards again, I believe is what he said. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. I gotta rewatch it because again, it kind of like came on and I wasn't ready for it, so I didn't like make any notes or anything. But so I don't know, and again, I don't know if I don't know. Whatever. It looks good though.
I'm
so
still
let's
holding out hope to see her, but I don't think we will.
I
don't think we will. I don't think it's happening.
It doesn't make any sense for it to happen unless they do it a different way.
Yeah, unless it's a different way, but now it's silly. Oh well.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Oh, okay, so I want to point out one thing. Anybody who watched our video last week, I apologize, because I went back and watched some of it, because I wanted to see my face when the Sharks lost. So I just wanted to watch my face drop. Anyways, I was rubbing my left eye a lot. I don't know if anybody noticed. What had happened earlier in the day, my baby poked me in the eye.
Oh.
And like actually scratched my eye. And I don't know if
baby that's walking now.
Right. And I don't know if anybody's had that, but it feels like there's an eyelash in your eye, but you can't ever get it out. It's the most infuriating feeling in the world. So I was rubbing my eye. I'm not crazy. I'm not losing it. I just wanted to point that out and apologize. Yeah, that was me like the whole fucking time.
Didn't notice that. You were just super intense about the episode.
No, definitely not. So that's all for this week. I think. So.
Well, that's the thing. What the hell is there to prognosticate?
Well, okay. So who's gonna die next week? Tommen. That's it.
So I think we were all wrong about the time.
Yes.
Rickon happened early.
It was about 35 minutes in. Or no, sorry, it was like 40 minutes in. I don't remember.
No,
I didn't write them.
He was midway through.
Yeah, 30. It was between 35 and 40 minutes.
Yeah. Time. I want to say early.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be a catalyst for a lot of things. So I'm going to say 30.
Okay.
And it's Tommen.
Yeah. I'm gonna say earlier. I'm gonna say it's gonna be like 20 minutes in, which really cuts it because you now have the whole rest of the episode.
And it's Tommen.
And it's Tommen as well, because there's no way he's making it out of the season, and he needs to die. And I read or heard an interesting thing about Tommen. So okay. So if Cersei is found guilty in the trial, which she probably will be, and guilty of incest, Tommen is the result of that incest. Thus not a Baratheon. Thus not the king.
So is she being tried for incest, or is she being tried for just cheating on Robert?
No, she's I think she's
being tried for doing Jaime.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So if Tommen is now not, so we could maybe see this happen where Tommen doesn't die, where she's guilty now. Tommen's not the king,
and then who the hell?
And then and then the High Sparrow takes over until they appoint a new king.
Interesting.
Right? So we'll see what happens next week. That would be more surprising than
just Tommen dying.
Right? So
yeah.
But all right, so thank you for watching and or listening. Remember to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Tay's favorite, Google Play. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. All the links are on the screen right now if you're watching. Go to rabbleofthrones.com, and we will see you guys next week for, sadly, the last time for 10 months.
I can't even handle that.
I can't believe it's happened so fast. But anyways, we'll see you guys next week for one last time.
Oh.